Welcome to the Mentup Lead Up podcast, an essential resource for all small business leaders and their CMACs, consultants, mentors, advisors and coaches. Listen in to what our experts have to say and gain from their tips and ideas. I'm Michelle Estes, founder and CEO of the Mentup Lead Up technique and author of published book In Business With Yourself. You're very welcome to the podcast today. And I'm joined by Professor David Gibson OBE and founder of the EFactor, a set of 8 competencies designed to enable individuals to adapt, innovate and achieve success in both their personal and professional lives. David, you're very welcome.
Thank you very much, Michelle. It's an honour to be on it.
Well, now, David, I'm going to start off a little bit. We'll come to the EFactor, but Professor David Gibson OBE, these are not titles that are easily earned, and I know the OBE was around your contribution to entrepreneurship, but I'm curious, how were they earned? How did you get, what's your journey?
My journey, I suppose, and you know, I was behind. I think at times we've missed each other a little bit on our journey. I first went into NISBE in the University of Ulster, which you know did change its name in '97, having sold my business.
I remember it well.
And so I find that very good, and really it played a big part in my journey because, as a new boy, you tended to get things given to you, but the new boy learnt a huge amount and got a lot of his ideas from the Women's Entrepreneurship Programme.
There you go.
And the reason for that was a lot of these people were women, had very good executive jobs and either left or taken and were decided they wanted to set out on their own journey. And they, as I say, a lot of them lacked confidence, weren't sure about the skills and stuff. But really from them, I got the ideas that competencies like resilience, like creativity, that these could be, because I started to come up with them and need to be taught to move them forward. So I ran maybe for about 4 years, and you know, I always do pay tribute to it. Really, I learnt more from them than they learnt from me. But it showed me that you needed to develop competencies. You could have had a good job or did well in one environment, but you needed to have a set of competencies and work on yourself and on your personal development. As you move forward, as the world changed, as technology, created a new world where innovation was required.
We all learn from each other, don't we? And sometimes, you know, we do absolutely learn from the people that we're working with, and it's a two-way street. One of the things, though, that interested me, and I think this will resonate with a number of our listeners and our entrepreneurs, you chat somewhere about the fact that in that early career, and I think at the time you were working on the entrepreneurship programme at Queen's, again at a time,
yes,
very early days, people not listening, it was new, it was a new thing, and you had a lot of educational work to do, for want of a better word. But you do talk.
Oh, yes.
But you do talk about this one chance. So the lecturer who gave you the opportunity to do a talk, and that was almost like that was the platform. That was the time, the sliding door moment that gave you the opportunity to go on and make something out of it. And I think on that basis, you know, I talk a little bit sometimes about, is luck part of our journey? Would you say that was part of your journey? Was that sliding door luck for that person to ask you, for you to deliver, and for suddenly that penny to drop with people?
Absolutely. Luck played a part, but I suppose I believe, and it's maybe part of the entrepreneurial attitude, that in one sense I deserved. I tried everyone, all the door. People had closed doors. People didn't turn up for meetings, even though Queens had got a lot of funding to do this, and it was they were about to be kind of almost dismissed in this area and funding removed, etc. But if you like, by all the visits, and I suppose where people turned me away, this one person gave me a small chance, and I suppose, and I'm very grateful to him. And at times I can't remember his name now. He was environmental science lecturer, and and then I had to be good. But yes, I think it was very much a chance. But I suppose my attitude, I think, well, I suppose I feel I deserved that chance because it looked as if nothing had worked, and people had tried for years, and they had a lot of funding behind them at Queen and they were working with me. Like, we just couldn't get anywhere, David. They were quite honest with me. So I got that chance. But what was lucky, because there was maybe there was funding behind it, and senior management wanted somehow this to work, even though it was a bit new to the Queen's technology. When I got that opening and it worked, but it was very much against the trend, because as you know, a lot of the staff were all more pure research people with a little bit of lecturing about what the research said. So it was very new and very different.
And then over the years, with your experience and everything that you'd observed, and also, your own academic background, you come up with the EFactor, and it's a set of 8 competencies: creativity, resilience, deal making, profile building, financial management, persuasive communication, leadership, and strategic thinking. The interesting thing, and we'll delve into it a little bit, but you say that we all have these. So back to nature and nurture, is that where you're coming from? Do we naturally, individually have these set of competencies, and then it's our journey that moves those in certain directions? Is that where you're coming from? Or
yeah, that would be really what I believe, Michelle. I think it's like our creativity, maybe the school system by about age 12 or 13, traditionally, I'm not saying anymore, but kind of knocks it out of us, even that creativity you would have had as a child, and working in things and imagination, and you're moved away from that to do these very left brain things, and you need to be reconnected with. So yes, I do believe that a lot of these you have experience, but you haven't understood how to use them or how to keep working for them, and the danger is your development can go just purely left brain's very important, purely left brain, but you need left brain and right brain, whole brain, if you like.
And I think then you do get in your book, and this is the part that I really like, because I think it's one thing for us to understand, yes, we have the potential with these 8 competencies, but then of course you get in, and as we say, the proof is in the pudding, and the book suggests that we apply these to 4 stages of our lives, I suppose. So daily life, which I really like the idea of, then the power of dreams, and then being yourself, and then going global. So you take these 8 competencies and you look at them almost in 4 different levels of who we are. And I like that. I like the fact that you're giving us the idea that it's not just 8 competencies and we throw them into the washing machine, but you break it down.
Yes, yeah, I have, and I suppose most recently, but that I suppose I've spent a long time since developing them now, but knowing that yes, it's not just a matter of knowing. You've got to break it down. You've got to do things stage by stage. You've got to look at different ways to apply. And if you're going to make it where you've really got the competency and don't have to think about it too much, but that it's very much part of you.
And one of the questions, just to delve into one of them for a second, quite often one of the questions I get asked if I'm working with a group or talking with a group, and it's around, you talk about resilience. I suppose the other word sometimes I might use is tenacity, but it's a similar thing.
It is.
And I suppose the question quite often I get asked is, at what point do you reach in a business idea development? Back to your own personal situation at Queen's and the development of the programme. At what point do you say, I've tried it, I've given it a go, it's just not working? Where does resilience and that sort of level of common sense, in a way, come into the pot? Where have you seen that?
It's not beating your head against the wall. You've got to be, part of my idea of resilience is that you are a lifelong learner and that you learn from things and do things differently. And resilience doesn't mean you just stick it out and don't try anything else, or even don't work on yourself, because you've got to, if you're in a difficult situation in business or in life, you've got to look after yourself, look after your physical health, look after your mental health. You've got to learn from it. You've got to find different ways, and you've got to be open. And that's where you also then can harness the other competencies, because, for instance, you need the right brain to come up with a new innovative way of doing things, and then back that up with some of the others to take it through.
So resilience is not just about doing, as Einstein would say, if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, why would you expect different results? And I suppose that's the point, is it's learning, isn't it, in the process. It's realising what in that resilience is working and what may not be working. This is the Meant Up Lead Up podcast, and I suppose when we think about people who support business leaders, the CMACs, as I talk about, the consultants, the mentors, the advisors, the coaches, part of the role there is about reframing, re-questioning, helping people to rethink and developing that resilience in a way, I think, and that's probably an important part of that role as well.
It's very important, because, and it is annoying because and unfair to people, because some people with good talent, but because they haven't had confidence or they haven't experienced people knocking their projects, or don't know maybe how to learn from these things and switch direction. There's a lot of really good people with great ideas who want to make an impact that are put off or stopped by other people, by the naysayers, by barriers put in their place, or not the support. And that's something I really want to get across, that if you do work with yourself and bring these facts from resilience kind of onwards and use the others, it can make you more independent. It can make you learn from whatever situation you face, and life brings its ups and downs, and obviously A1 and artificial intelligence and everything is changing things, and even more now, everyone's got to be adaptable and innovative.
Goodness knows where that's going to take us in terms of AI. I just, sometimes the mind boggles, doesn't it, in terms of, and how quickly we're all going to need to adapt to make it work in a positive way.
And that's right, and it's accepting at times. About, I wouldn't say I'm a particularly technological person, but I've got to, you've got to accept that it plays its part, but you've got to understand that very much. Don't think it'll ever take away. It's those other skills play an even bigger part in this technological world, and it's great to see. I mean, some of this work, for instance, Gordon Brown, who would put a lot of money in at that stage as Chancellor Exchequer into enterprise, but he is very much linked with, say, a guy at the University of Oxford who, and still promoting these ideas of these skills, which quite marry in with what I'm come up and it makes me feel good, because I don't think if I just come up with this and it's quite a good idea and I've made it happen, somehow it is an important thing. And,
yes,
and I do.
I totally identify with that in terms of just that verification in some ways, that others are picking that up. Just a couple of things. You talked a little bit there, and I think again, really relevant for many of our listeners, that idea of passion for your idea, passion for your business. I always say that, an entrepreneur who doesn't have passion, to me, the passion for an idea and a concept is a given, if you like. It's there. It should naturally be there. But then The important thing is that we put a lens over that of that strategic thinking, and strategic thinking is one of your 8 competencies, and I really like that was there, giving that balance, if you like. So it's okay to be passionate about what you've got and what you're doing, but you need that strategic thinking.
Absolutely. Possibly, as an accountant or a small business person myself, it was something I felt in my early days I lacked, and of course that's how we learn a lot of these lessons. Yeah, I mean, you've got to look ahead and see what's coming. You've got to look at the bigger picture, and at times that helps, because short term you may be doing the right thing, but you're not getting you're not getting the results. But yes, you need to bring, it's that balance of them working together. And you do get people who maybe are their background in life and whatever has made them very good at one. But you have to harness the others, and you can't be probably 10 out of 10 in them all, but if you can harness them, get help from other people, but be competent even in the others, you can then make the best use of what you've got in your background and in your business.
Yeah, balance. I really like that word, actually. I think that's a really important word, and I talk about it often and when it comes to business. Just one last thing before we go. EFactor, any particular reason for it being E? Does E stand for anything, or was that...
It really stands, I suppose, for entrepreneurial. But entrepreneurial, as you know, as we both know, in its broadest sense, and obviously at times you're going against people who think entrepreneur must mean starting your own business. Certainly that can be a part of it in all sorts of different ways, but it applies. You've got to be like that person who deals with the ups and downs of a small business or a large business that they own in any environment, and arguably in life now.
Yeah, perfect. David, I'm so delighted to have had you here this morning, and I really like that sort of thinking about your competencies in daily life as well as that daring to dream idea. It's been really, really insightful.
Thank you so much, Michelle. It was an honour and some great questions. Thank you.
That's it for this month. Thanks for listening in to Ment Up Lead Up, the podcast for all small business leaders and their CMACs, consultants, mentors, advisors and coaches.